guys, Rachel here, and this is Ladle by Ladle, my YouTube channel. Why am I so fucking awkward? Today, I'm going to do a very, seemingly random video that I thought might be a little interesting. It's kind of more of a, story time video, which is not one that I often do on this channel, but my life, although I've only been alive for 26 years, has gone through many different interesting phases, and so I have a lot of interesting stories, and I'm going to tell you about the very brief period of my life where I worked at Coyote Ugly. So yeah, where should we begin? Coyote Ugly, if you are unaware, and I think a lot of people are aware of it because there is a movie about these bars. All I remember who's in it is Tyra Banks. I can't remember who the lead is. Anyway, Coyote Ugly is a bar. This is how little I actually know about the history of the bar because I only worked there for maybe 2 months. But basically the whole shtick of the bar is that the girls dance on, the bartenders are all women and they all dance on the bar and they sing into microphones and they kind of not harass, but they really strongly interact with the patrons of the bar, and they're always on the microphone and they're dancing and they're slinging drinks and they got all these routines. When I was a little girl, I saw the movie and I loved it, and I never ever thought that I would be a bartender at Coyote Ugly. Then fast forward to 2015 and there I was. So basically where I was at in my life was that I was about to graduate college. I had a job to work on the side of NCIS New Orleans, but they were in their summer hiatus, or they were about to be rather in their summer hiatus, and so I wouldn't have a job for a couple months. And also, this is a story for a totally other video, but I was hired at this job and then I was briefly fired at this job and then I was rehired at this job because my boss was an abusive asshole. It was a summer hiatus and truly a lot of things were up in the air as to whether or not I was going to go back to work on NCIS, which I did eventually do. But in the meantime, I needed to make money. I was living in a really cheap sublet in New Orleans. It was also a period of my life of a lot of changes. I was graduating from college, I was recovering from my eating disorder, I was partying a lot, I have a long history of being a pretty intense party girl, but this was a peak of that for sure. That's kind of the mind and the place that I was in when I was Googling jobs. And I actually found the job listing for Coyote Ugly on Craigslist, and it said come audition to be a Coyote Ugly bartender, no bartending experience required, must be able to sing and dance. I put on the shortest little short denim shorts I had and a crop top and my cowgirl boots, and I drove downtown to go to the Coyote Ugly in New Orleans because it said come ready to audition. And I walked up and I remember the bouncer saw me, and I called ahead to schedule this interview. He goes, "Oh, are you Rachel?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Great, you look great. This is gonna be great." And I just kind of remember thinking that was a little weird. Really at this point in my mind, I just kind of wanted a job. And truly I loved the idea of being up on that bar and people looking at me. I'm really extroverted, I love to perform, and so all of that was really exciting for me. Anyway, I go in and then I meet the manager, who's actually a woman, and she kind of asks me questions about my service industry experience, of which I've had basically none. She basically said that she thought I had the look. I kept hearing that a lot. "Okay, you have the look, you have the look." And I was just okay. And so they wanted me to come by that evening to do a trial run to see how I performed on the bar. I came back later that night with a bunch of my friends. It was quite the experience. I mean, if you've ever been to a Coyote Ugly bar, it's pretty interesting. All of the bartenders are up and they're all singing and dancing and stomping around in their boots and occasionally pouring drinks. They don't really make mixed drinks. It's really just shots and beer. Maybe a vodka soda or vodka cranberry or a Jack and Coke, but really nothing more complicated than that, which I think is why you didn't have to have bartending experience. So I get there, I'm in my same outfit that I had been in earlier. They throw me up on the bar, someone takes a body shot off of me. I remember just grabbing a mic and imitating what the other girls have been doing, which was just a lot of screaming at the patrons. I just remember having a lot of fun. So then after that night of me doing my little trial dance, they said that I basically got the job. I just had to come in for some additional questions and 2 training shifts. So I went in for that for my first training shift. And before my training shift started, they had me sign like a liability waiver, probably because I would be up in my cowgirl boots had heels on them, so I'd be up in heels dancing around on the bar. So there was definitely like a liability waiver that I had to sign. Then there was like all of these rules that I had to agree to, like Coyote Ugly rules. Can't remember a lot of them. There was definitely like a try to keep your significant others out of the bar. I didn't really have a significant other at the time, so it wasn't a big deal, but I just remember thinking like, that was in the movie, and I remembered that, and I kind of like thought that was funny. Then the big thing came, and I remember it was the female manager, and she was like really apologetic about this point, but she still did it. She was like, we have to weigh you, because like Coyote Ugly, like headquarters, there is like, I guess, a rule that you have to be a certain BMI or under to work at Coyote Ugly. And this I think is the most interesting part, is that I just remember being shocked. So this is me, I'm a couple months into recovery from my eating disorder. I hadn't weighed myself intentionally in months. And I remember telling her, I said, you can weigh me, but I don't want to know what the number is. And if it's gonna exclude me, just like tell me that and then let me go. This was what she said, I actually remember this. She goes, looking at you, I'm sure you're fine, but I have to have the number written down on the paper when I submit your paperwork. She asked how tall I was, and I was like, I'm 5'7", and then I got on a scale. I didn't look at it, she wrote it down, and I looked at her and I was like, am I good? And she like did, I imagine, the BMI calculation real quick, and then she goes, yep, you're great. And this was like, I was probably about 20 to 25 pounds lighter than I am right now at the time. So I actually wonder like if I would still be able to work there now that I'm like way more filled out than I was back then. Yeah, I just remember that was kind of shocking. I don't know why it was shocking to me. I just think the fact that they like actually needed the number was a little weird. Like if it was just a visual thing and she was like visually like I looked good, but then what happens if I was like 5 or 10 pounds over the like limit? Whatever the limit was, by the way, I don't even know what it was. But anyway, I passed, which is like fucked up in its own way because again, like would I pass now? I don't know. My training shift started and it was a lot of like she was a manager and then there was an assistant manager who was a man. They taught me how to pour drinks basically because, I had to get like an online bartending license. It took me like 30 minutes. It was like a Louisiana like bartendinglicense.com or something really sketchy and unofficial like that. And so I had that printed out so they could put that in my file. Then I basically learned like how to pour exactly a shot, but the liquor bottles had this like measuring thing on them, so it was impossible to pour more than a shot, so it wasn't really a big deal. They just had me pour shot after shot after shot after shot until they thought that like 10 of them in a row were perfect. This was actually kind of funny. As part of my training, they wanted to know how good I was at drinking games, because part of a lot of the bartenders' shticks is to play drinking games with the patrons, like flip cup and beer pong, and so they had me flip a couple of flip cups and shoot a couple like beer pong balls. Yeah, that was my training, was pouring shots and practicing drinking games. And then because they'd already kind of seen me up on the bar and they knew that I could kind of handle myself, the rest of the shift I just kind of like learned how the POS system worked and all the kind of basic stuff of working in the service industry. And then that was it. And I started working that night. They gave me a paycheck every 2 weeks, but I want to say I made like $2.80 an hour. It was something really, really crazy low like that. And Mario asked me earlier today when I was telling him that, like, how did they get around the minimum wage law? And I don't know, but I know that like a lot of service industry is like that, and I'm probably like really just ignorant as to why that is, but that most people who work in the service industry like heavily rely on tips. So I am specifically very good about tipping people for this reason, but you guys should be too. Tip your servers, they live off of that. As far as like men at the bar that would like come just to watch us dance, that definitely happened a lot. But there was always 2 bouncers working. There was one bouncer working the door and one bouncer like working the bar. He would sit at the bar, he would mill around the bar just to make sure that like creepy men couldn't distract us from doing our jobs. The bouncers were like really sweet guys, and they would walk us to our cars at the end of our shifts, or they would move our cars closer to the bar while we were working because we just had to kind of park somewhere in the French Quarter. So I don't really remember ever feeling like I was in danger, even though I did a lot of these shifts like alone. I mean, my friends always knew where I was at, and again, I felt pretty safe with the bouncers, and the longer I worked there, like the more they got to know me, and I felt like they really like cared that I was safe. So I never really felt like I was super in danger. I definitely got hit on a lot. That's like kind of part of the job, is like being hit on and being flirty. Something kind of fun was at the end, not fun, but something kind of interesting was that at the end of each of my shifts, I would get like an evaluation of like how good I did that night, and they would be like, you need to like project more, you need to like mingle more with men and less with women, or you need to like sharpen up your dance, or you need to like get a new song or whatever, because we would sing and dance to various songs that there was a jukebox in the bar and people would pick the songs, and if certain songs came on, like Pour Some Sugar on Me or Devil Went Down to Georgia, all the bartenders would have to stop what they were doing and get up on the bar and dance. And then we'd all have songs that we would sing, and I used to sing Honey I'm Good by Andy Grammer. There was like services, that sounds so like strip clubby, but there was like services, I don't know how else to say it, that you could purchase from us, the bartenders. And one of them was like a body shot. So a body shot costs like $30, which is kind of insane because it's like $30 for one shot of like super cheap liquor. But with that, you got like a little bit of an experience. Like you could take a body shot off of me, or I could set it up so that you could take a body shot off of your friend, or that like if you really wanted, I could take a shot off of you, although that shot would be like cranberry juice. If you paid $30 for body shot, then we would like bring you up on the bar, do a little like sexy dance, like lay you down or lay your friend down or whatever, and then it would be like a whole thing. And the reason that that was like a really big part of my job was because if a body shot cost $30, 10 went in the till and 20 went in our pockets. So every time we sold a body shot, we got $20 immediately. So that was a way to incentivize us really pushing this experience on people. So I don't know, in a course of like a month, I've had like, I don't know, 15 random strangers take body shots off of me. And I remember there was like a body shot option where we could like pour it through this long golden dildo and then into someone's mouth. And yeah, there was like a lot of like fun things, and we would like blindfold people with bras. And yeah, I mean, it was just like really great. I think that like actually working there was like a ton of fun, but there was definitely problems with management, problems with bartenders. There was a lot of turnover in the very short amount of time that I even worked there, and I definitely helped with that turnover. There were like 3 other new girls. Like I was training someone within like 2 weeks of working there. I was training another person. Also, like we wouldn't serve water. Remember how in the movie they go, hell no, H2O. Yeah, we would not serve you water. If you asked for water, you had to pay for water. So we could give you water, but you had to pay for it. And perhaps that was the hardest thing, because a lot of people would just come in off the street. It was so hot outside and they just wanted water, and we'd have to be like, sorry, $3. Which was like insane for water. But yeah, that was a real, I remember the day I quit. I had gotten my job back, I had started working again at NCIS New Orleans, and it was becoming like too much to work all day on set and then go do a shift at night at the bar, or even like I was trying to get it down to where I would just work weekends, and they were gonna be like okay with that because they liked that I was covering this Sunday for them. And then this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. I would work noon to 8 p.m. on Sundays, and it was the last shift I ever had, and it was 8 p.m. and I was clocking out, and the manager came up to me and he was like, or the assistant manager came up to me and he was like, we need you to continue working for the next shift because our girl's not showing up. Like the girl that was supposed to work the next shift wasn't there. And I was like, I can't, I have work tomorrow morning. I have like a really long day, I have to get up at like 5 a.m. And he was like, that's not my problem. Like you work here. This is like what you do. And I just remember being like, I need to just go get dinner. And he was like, that's fine, go get dinner and come back. So I just remember like I went to go get dinner at this place called Felipe's, and I was like so mad and so miserable, and I called my dad and I was like, they want me to work another 8 hours. I just started my NCIS job, and I was like, I have NCIS tomorrow, I don't want to be tired, I don't want to be, and my dad was like, just quit. Like, why are you still working there? And I was like, I don't know, it's like fun and I like it. And like for a little while I had been working there before I started working on the TV show, I like saw this life for myself, this like struggling bartender in New Orleans, like struggling artist, like life for myself, because New Orleans is a really cheap place to live, and I was making this money off of this job. I was pulling in, you know, I could pull in like 100, 200, 300 bucks a night depending on the night. And I like just saw this like life for myself as a Coyote Ugly bartender. So, but I do remember like I was crying on the phone because I was just like, I don't I don't know what to do. I can't work this shift. And my dad was like, you could quit. You guys don't know me that well, but I hate quitting things. My mother never let me quit anything growing up, and it's just like a part of me that like feels like I failed if I quit something. And my dad was like, you can quit this job, Rachel. You have other shit going on in your life. You do not need this money anymore. So anyway, long story short, I went back to the manager, assistant manager, and I just said, I quit. And he was so mad. But I was like, first of all, not my problem that your girl didn't show up. Second of all, I can't do this job and my other job, and my other job is more important to me. There was like a lot of like, fuck you, see you never kind of things coming from him. And I just said, give my best to the actual manager. And I hugged the bouncer on the way out. And actually, I think he walked me to my car. And then that was it. And that was it. Then Coyote Ugly was just a distant memory in my mind. And looking back on it, it's like such an amazing story to tell. I loved that movie, like I said, when I was a kid, and I think it's amazing that I had that experience working there. So yeah, so that's my time working at Coyote Ugly. It was fun, it was sexy, it was a little scary and weird. I mean, let's not forget, I had to be weighed to get this job. And like, that's fucked up. And I really hope that they've changed that policy since I worked there. That was like 4 years ago. Maybe they're a little bit more #woke, but something tells me that's not true. Okay, my camera just died and my boyfriend set up that last shot. I have no idea how to do it. So obviously I need to end this video. Thanks you guys so much for Fuck. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, like this video, comment below if you found it was interesting, if you have any questions, whatever, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you next time. Bye.